Hey, this is Zachlog the Great. We Christians believe that God has told us to worship and serve Him. Indeed, the Bible says this often and in a variety of forms. Exodus 23, "You shall have no other gods before me." Deuteronomy 6:5, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength." Deuteronomy 6:13, "Fear the Lord your God and serve Him only." Now, some critics of Christianity, and atheists in particular, have said this makes the Christian God narcissistic, sociopathic, and I'd like to answer that claim today. If I am to make my case, though, I have to ask something of those who disagree with me. I have to ask you, for the sake of the argument, to exercise a little imaginative empathy, to attempt to see things from our point of view, if only to see why we believe as we do. Even if you still conclude we're wrong, I'd like you to see the reasoning. And first, I will grant you this. If God is anything but what Christians say He is, then you are entirely right. If God is not as our theology describes Him, then His commands to worship and adore Him, to serve Him with our every thought and breath, are insane, megalomaniacal, incomparably narcissistic. But let's talk about what Christians say God is. You see, we say that God is the creator, Aristotle's prime mover, the cause and source of all things. This is markedly different from the gods of pagan mythology, who were very powerful beings, but ultimately part of the same order of existence as men. If we are right about God, if He is the creator of all things, including us, then what does worshiping and serving Him mean? It means being oriented towards the source of your being, acknowledging the reason you exist, and affirming it is good. And again, this is not like the relationship of a child to his parents. Their actions caused your life, but they themselves are not the cause. And like you, they were dependent upon the actions of those before them. If Christians are right about who God is, then all of us were created by His will and owe our every breath to Him. And there is no one before Him that He owes anything to. If this is who God is and who we are, then to not worship Him is to be in delusion, to be like a leaf that thinks its roots are amusing but irrelevant. And if such a leaf could act on this belief and cut itself off from its roots, it would die, as would we. If God is our creator, then any position towards Him other than worship is fundamentally false and destructive. God does not tell us to worship and serve Him for His sake, but for ours, because that is the foundation of a sane, flourishing life. Now, if there is no God, this is all delusion. If a God exists, but He is not the creator, the prime mover, then this is incomparable narcissism on His part. But if God does exist and is as Christians describe Him, then to not worship Him, to not serve Him, is madness. Why does God command us to worship Him? It's not for His benefit. Our worship, or lack thereof, has no impact on Him whatsoever. I think C.S. Lewis put it well in The Problem of Pain. A man can no more diminish God's glory by refusing to worship him than a lunatic can put out the sun by scribbling the word darkness on the walls of his cell. Why does God command us to worship him? For our sake, for our sanity, for our salvation. Because he loves us. God be with you.